Happy Wednesday to you, Aaron from PhoneDog.com here, and if you had told me a year ago that LG was going to make a great high-end smartphone in the US market, I would have probably said, you're crazy. That's never going to happen, because if you remember back, the LG Ally came out in April, May-ish of 2010, or was announced at least in April or May of 2010. One of the worst smartphones I've ever worked with. To be frank with you, I think LG realized that. I think the sales numbers reflected that, and they went back to the drawing board and they created something a little bit better. And if you remember, the Optimus line came out a little bit later, the mid-range smartphones, but thanks to the carrier adoption, thanks to even the regional adoption, by US Cellular and by a couple of the other carriers, Metro PCS, Virgin, things like that, those really took off. And I think they thought, okay, if these took off, we can create a really great high-end smartphone. Fast forward to CES, the LG Optimus 2X came out, and now it's available in the US as the T-Mobile G2x. Now there's some differences to this one, but for the most part, pretty similar on the specs front. 1 GHz dual-core NVIDIA Tegra 2 processor, 4-inch display, 8-megapixel camera, front-facing camera, a stock build of Android 2.2, so no manufacturer-installed user interface, and in a pretty thin package with 1080p HD video support. Is this a phone to have, or should you wait for another Android phone? Because we do, after all, have a bunch coming out in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. Is this a phone for you? We're going to find out in Phone Dog's review, T-Mobile G2X, which starts right now. Between this, the MyTouch 4G, the T-Mobile G2, and the Sidekick 4G, T-Mobile probably has the best Android device lineup out of any of the carriers. Here it is, the T-Mobile G2X. You remember the Optimus 2X at CES, or announced at CES, shown off at some of the other trade shows. Well, here it is in the US form. Specs are pretty unchanged. 1 GHz NVIDIA Tegra 2, dual-core processor, 8-megapixel camera on the back with support for 1080p HD shooting, front-facing camera, 4-inch WVGA display. I think I might have already said that. Android 2.2, but here's the big difference. It's a stock build of Android 2.2. Like you remember from the Desire Z and how it came to the US as the G2, stock build of Android. T-Mobile must prefer it that way, and I have to say that probably contributes to making this device even snappier than it was when we saw it at CES as the Optimus 2X. But anyway, very svelte design, 4-inch display, kind of a sweet spot for a lot of people between 3.7 and 4.3 inches. And you can see up top you have the HDMI port, 3.5mm headphone jack, power button, volume rocker over here on the right, and then you have your micro USB charging port and speakers at the bottom. So you have this nice kind of design between metal, plastic, and gray colors. And overall I've been impressed. It looks nice. It feels good in the hand. It's not too thick. It's about 5 ounces if I recall. So it puts it on par in terms of weight with the T-Mobile MyTouch 4G. So if you're used to that, you're probably going to be used to this. The one downside that I can find about this device just out of the box, at least within the first couple of hours of playing with it, it does not have a notification light. So that, combined with the fact that it doesn't have a trackball, could spell trouble for some people that need that notification light, because you can't customize the trackball to light up, do anything like that, and you can't, obviously you don't have a notification light. So if you receive a lot of emails, you receive a lot of text, and you rely on it, then this may not be the device for you. Otherwise, this is, in my opinion, I'm going to spoil the review a little bit, this is the best Android device on the market in my book right now. Not to say that there aren't other awesome things coming out this year that may or may not be better, but this, in my opinion, beats the Thunderbolt. Not necessarily on network speeds, but in terms of comparing device to device, I think it beats the Thunderbolt in my opinion. Now, the Thunderbolt lovers, and that's not to say the Thunderbolt isn't an awesome device. It certainly is, but I'll tell you why when we jump into it. Just look here at stock Android combined with a super fast processor, dual core processor at that. Incredibly fast. Have you ever seen a device that fast that's Android? No you haven't, because they don't exist, to be quite frank. So you can see very, very fast from everything, from loading up phone to loading up the web browser to loading up that. Apps open up exceptionally fast, just unusually. We use Advanced Task Killer here, for example, but we open up let's say clock, bam, opens up, gone. Transitions incredibly smooth. Twitter, bam, opens up, Twitter close. News and weather, there's the weather, bam, incredibly close. So it's just exceptionally fast. And you see you have the 5 home screens here. They're typical with stock Android 2.2, and just no big changes there. You can see, scroll left to right, and then of course if you want to see all 5 at once, you click on the little dots down here. Those correspond to how many what screen you're on. You're on the second to last one, or actually, yeah, your second to last when you get over here. None there. Then you can scroll back over like that. So pretty self-explanatory. Widget-wise, it's going to be stock widget setup that you know from devices like the G2 if you've worked with it, or some of the other devices. Other than your applications that you've installed, the typical Google widgets are here: analog clock, calendar, Google search, and then you have some additional ones that come with the apps that are pre-installed, which we'll jump into that in just a second. Highlight, you'll see, actually Highlight is the only one that's a pre-installed app that has a widget corresponding with it. But the rest are Google widgets. Now out of the box, you do get some T-Mobile bloatware. You get T-Mobile App Pack, you get Highlight, you get T-Mobile My Account, My Device, some games, Need for Speed Shift, Nova, you get Smart Share for, I'm assuming, HDMI, no, it looks like DLNA and HDMI, Polaris Office, T-Mobile Mall, T-Mobile TV, Tegra Zone Games, Quick Video Chat, Video Player, Visual Voicemail, Wi-Fi Calling, and then Zenio Reader. So you do get some stuff out of the box. It might be overkill for some people, so it's not 100% of a stock build, but the actual outside of those applications being pre-installed, the actual software itself is stock. Now the downside is you can't uninstall those programs. They are on there and they're on there to stay, but obviously, you know, if you so desire, you can root it, you can do whatever you want to with it, and you can sideload applications out of the box. So that's a perk there. You don't get that obviously on the AT&T Android devices. You can do that. So a little bit of a trade-off, but you know, again, I don't feel like there are enough applications on this device to be too in your face. So without further ado, let's take a look at messaging just to get an idea what keyboards come installed on the device. It comes with stock Android, and it comes with Swipe as well. So you can see Swipe Android keyboard there. And you know, Android 2.2 keyboard, people may love it, people may hate it, but it's not a bad keyboard at all. And if you actually want the Gingerbread keyboard, you can download it from the Android market along with sideloading any keyboards that you like. You know, if you like the Motorola multi-touch keyboard, you can find the APK online for that and sideload it to the device. But here's what it looks like. Obviously pretty easy to use, and you know, for me, can't talk and type at the same time. The Quick Brown Fox wants drink. Quick Brown Fox wants a drink. So easy to type on, pretty responsive, and haven't had any issues. I have vibration turned on, but pretty responsive. And I think that 4-inch display, like I said, is a nice sweet spot between 4.3 inches and 3.7 inches. So it's big enough to where it's easy to type on. You're not, you know, for somebody like me who's president of the Fat Finger Club, you're fine. But you know, it's definitely a good size, and it's not 4.3 inches, so it's not too huge. So that's what that looks like. You can use it in portrait or in landscape mode. Let me turn this off so you can see what it looks like in landscape mode. I always have it. I've been using this as my personal device to get a better idea of what it's like, and I've been, you know, very impressed with this device. Let's see here. There's landscape mode. Keys obviously get a little bit larger. Virtual QWERTY, 4 rows, dedicated row for the space bar, and then if you need your numbers, you click 1, 2, 3, obviously, and you go there. So let's take a look at the browser. I mean, and again, just look at how fast that stuff is loading. I can't get over that. Super fast, loads very quickly. We'll go to phonedog.com. Whoops. phonedog.com. And we'll wait for that to load. I mean, everything's just been exceptionally smooth, and it has to do, and this is not my area of expertise, but it has something to do with the software. It has something to do with something LG has implemented on the back end when it comes to Android, because that's what's making it as quick as it is. So you can see full page loaded, flash advertisements running in the background, pinch to zoom, exceptionally responsive. You can see no lag whatsoever. Very responsive. Double tap in, or double tap out, double tap in, and you can see what it looks like. I mean, picture quality is fantastic. Like I said, WVGA display. Colors are crisp. They look good. And then when you want to zoom out, you can. Very quick, very easy to do so. Again, stock Android stuff you see here. Windows bookmarks, new window, refresh. So we go to our Windows, we can open up a new one, and then we decide we want to go back to PhoneDog, we can. And overall, you know, very nice, very clean, fantastic web browsing performance. So not only, you know, it's pinch to zoom is fantastic, but T-Mobile's HSPA Plus network is pretty decent as well, and it's very consistent. So you see consistent speeds, at least in this area. This is a 21 megabits per second market, but you see speeds between about 3.5 megabits per second, and I've seen bursts of up to 7 or 8, depending on where I'm at in the city. But you can, you know, I've been pretty impressed with it. And overall, I think speeds are very good. And something I wanted to touch on while we're kind kind of off the subject of the browser, but you see the screen kind of tapers off there on the side. I kind of like the design of the screen because it tapers off. See if I can get it up there where you can see it. Tapers off at the edges. I don't know, it's not really showing in the camera, but tapers off over here at the sides, so you can kind of feel it over here on the sides. The screen kind of goes down like that, and I think that really goes well with the overall aesthetic of the device. Other than those few T-Mobile applications, everything else is stock Android, like I said. So you can see the phone application, for example, exactly the same as you would see in a completely clean build of Android. Call log here, contacts there, favorites there. You know, very simple, very easy to use. Island keys, then you have your voicemail shortcut, your back button, and then your call button. So self-explanatory, but still wanted to show you that in comparison to something like HTC Sense, Moto Blur, Samsung's TouchWiz, you know, where it is dramatically different. Then you have stuff like, let's go in here and take a look, and let me find it here. Let's see. Let's go over T-Mobile TV. That's another one that I'm intrigued by. T-Mobile TV is something they've been putting on their recent smartphones. I'm not intrigued by it. I mean, it's not that amazing, but they've been putting it on their recent smartphones. It's kind of like Sprint TV that they've been doing for some time now, but it works particularly well on this device. One, because of the larger display, and two, because of the HSPA Plus connectivity makes it run, you know, much faster. 27 days remaining. Let's see. I did the trial. It's free for basic channels. Premium channels are, I believe, $9.99 per month. So we'll see MSNBC, for example. We'll see if let it authorize. And we'll load it up. Now the downside is, you know, the speakers could certainly be better when it comes to media. I mean, that's at full volume. And you certainly can hear it, but I mean, you could obviously put in headphones too, but still, that's a little bit low for my tastes. And you know, it was kind of the same with speakerphone. Speakerphone was decent, but it could have been just ever so slightly better. So if I had to find some minor cons about this device, I think the speakers would be a minor one for me. Maybe a major one for you, but for me, I don't use it, you know, for any huge media stuff. So that's, you know, not huge for me. So you can see that's what it looks like. I mean, buffers well. Like, I mean, you feel like you're watching TV right now. I mean, this is, you know, buffering, not having any issues whatsoever, thanks to a fast network.